It's Hedy again, and what I'll be making for you today is lentils. Two ways: soup, lentil soup, and the other way is called pasta lenticchie, pasta with lentils. It's Italian soul food. So, in case you haven't noticed, since I'm on a diet, I've switched to a lower calorie beverage, although I do miss my wine. This is any white liquor on Weight Watchers is only 3 points, so I'm having my 3 points now. Vodka with diet lime tonic with a splash of lime. So I'm going to take you over to the sink and I'm going to show you how to clean the lentils. Okay, so I'm rinsing the lentils in cold water, and then you just pick over it and see if you get any black ones or any of the lentils that you think are not good, and you just pick them out. And then I have here a cup and a half of lentils. It's equivalent to like 3/4 of a pound, because if you buy a bag of lentils, they're 1 pound each. So I got like 3/4 of the bag here. I don't see any black ones, so we'll go to the next step. Now this is for the pasta lenticchie, pasta with the lentils. And then I'll show you what we do when we do the soup. Just rinse them out, make sure you picked over them, and then drain everything. Okay, so I have all my ingredients here. What I'm going to do is put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. Let it heat up a little bit. You don't need much more than that. If you wanted to, what my mother used to do is use like a ham hock or pancetta or prosciutto, something like that, and you could chop it up in there. But what I'm going to do, I'm making it meat-free. So I'm going to put in, I got 2 stalks of celery, a half an onion, a nice size onion, a medium onion or a half of a large is what I have here. 2 carrots chopped up, and 2 garlic cloves. And I'm gonna mix that around, and this will take about 5 minutes or so to become like translucent, and I'll come back when it's where it should be. Okay, so this has been going about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Maybe if you cut them a little bit small, it'll go quicker. Anyway, I remember making this when I was a kid, but she used to put me on a step stool and give me instructions on how to make things. Mainly the things that were the most difficult for her, like when I made the pastira and I had to cut the citron. She used to get the green and the orange, and I'd sit there, I was 10, 11 years old, and cut these things into minute little pieces. But if you watch my pastira video, you'll see that I found a new generation way of cutting the citron. Okay, so what we're going to do here, now as usual, I doubled the recipe. I said 2 tablespoons of oil for the double recipe. It should have been 4. But I will give you the recipe for a normal size family, 4. And the recipe for half of this will be on the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is add 8 cups of water. For the single, it's 4 cups of water. If you have chicken broth or chicken stock, you can use that. I don't happen to have chicken stock or chicken broth. I forgot to put it on the shopping list. So I'm using a bouillon. This is a big double bouillon. If you have just 4 cups of water, you use the small bouillon. Okay, so I'm adding that, and I'm adding a pound of lentils. Now, if you like pepper, you add pepper, but nobody in my family likes pepper, except for my grandson. I don't know where he came from. So I added the salt, and you're gonna let this cook until the lentils are tender. I'm gonna wait until it comes to a boil, and then I'm gonna lower it and simmer it and wait for the lentils to be tender.
About how long?
Half hour, check it there. Now you can add pasta to this if you want. I usually use ditalina or little small peas or whatever. You can add pasta to this if you want, but I'm not gonna have pasta because I'm not allowed too much on Weight Watchers. But if my family wants pasta, I can put it on the side and do it. In the meantime, I got 10 cups of water here. And what I'm gonna do is put a cup and a half of lentils in here and wait till it comes to a boil. I have a hard time with the broil. I guess that's my East Harlem raising or whatever. Anyway, I got 10 cups of water in here, and I'm gonna add a cup and a half of lentils, and I'm gonna wait for the lentils to cook. So the cup and a half of lentils, which has been draining in the sink. I'm gonna add it to the water, turn it on, and wait for it to come to a boil and then cook it. And then I'll show you what I do in the other pot. Broil, haha. Anyway, let me turn this on and give it a stir. And wait for the lentils to cook. About 20 minutes. You don't have to cook it all the way because it's gonna cook in the other pot as well. Am I making myself clear? Okay, so it's coming to a boil, and what I'm going to do is lower the temperature and make it simmer. Now, if you want to add tomatoes, you can add tomatoes, cut tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, tomato sauce, tomato puree, whatever you want. Just add a little bit, like a cup or so, to give it that redness if you want it. But I'm going to lower this to low, and I'm going to let this cook for another 20-25 minutes, or until the lentils are tender. In the meantime, I'm boiling the cup and a half of lentils in 10 cups of water. And then I'm going to show you what I do with this pot when that's done. And I'll be back. Okay, so the lentils are almost done. They need a little bit more cooking, but they're going to cook in here. So what I have in here is about 4 large cloves of garlic with some basil, which I'm going to heat up. If I can get this on, yes. And once this gets going, I'm going to add some tomatoes. Now, I'm using tomato sauce because my kids don't like lines. I'm sorry. Some guy asked if they were born in I can't remember the country, but they don't like the lines in the tomatoes. When I used to make it and not puree it, they would tell me, "What are these lines in here?" Oh, well. So now what I'm doing, my son is laughing because he knows it's true.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, well.
Okay, so I got the garlic sauteing here. And then I'm going to add tomato sauce. You could add puree, you could add chunked tomatoes, you can add peeled plum tomatoes, whatever kind of tomatoes you like. Okay, so it's almost done. I'm going to add this. And then I'm going to add this. Make sure you have all the lentils. I might add a little bit more tomato because I don't think it's tomatoey enough.
Another small can.
What?
Another small can.
Yes, I do, somewhere. I'll add a little bit more tomato. In the meantime, I'm going to put a pot up to boil the pasta. And this will cook another 10, 15, 20 minutes. The soup is cooking in the back. It's on low. And this is going to cook. I'm going to add more tomatoes. It's almost boiling. I'm going to lower it. And then I'm going to put a pot up for the pasta. Okay, so I'm going to strain this pasta. It's not cooked all the way. And what I'm going to do is add it to the lentil mixture and let it cook for a little bit more in the sauce. So you'll get the real great flavor of it. You got to be careful when you add it because don't splash it. Okay, so watch.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yes, we're going to shut this off and we're going to add this in.
Pasta lenticchie.
Pasta lenticchie. And let this cook a little bit while longer. Look how delicious that is. And then it'll be ready. Lots of grated cheese. The soup is already done. Just let this go for a while. I have omelets in the oven. That's for the next video. But in the meantime, let me check them. They're almost done. A nice bowl of this with a loaf of Italian bread, grated cheese, a glass of wine. What's better than that? Okay, so this is the lentil soup. Yum, yum, yum. And this is the pasta lenticchie. I'm going to take a little bit of both. I have to do 2 separate spoons. We don't want to double dip. It's piping hot. Oh, it'd be even better if you had a bone or a ham bone or prosciutto or something. It's so flavorful.
Why didn't you do that?
And now here's the soup. Different spoon. One just as good as the other. And also, if you look at behind me, you'll see the omelets.
Come over here. I'm not going to give you a close.
Okay, so as my grandson would say, keep cooking, keep watching, and bon appetit.